Welcome back to our Mishnah Berurah learning. Again, we're talking about some of the halachot pertaining to Elul and the start of Elul, which we of course just experienced. Last time we talked about how Shulchan Aruch comments that there's a practice in the Sephardi community to begin saying Slichot and Tachanunim from Rosh Chodesh Elul and onward until Yom Kippur. The Ramah explained that this is okay, this isn't the case for the Ashkenazi community, but rather Mirosh Chodesh ve'elech matchilim litkoa. So there's, while Ashkenazim are not saying Slichot and Tachanunim beginning at Rosh Chodesh Elul, there's a different thing that they start doing at the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul, which is blowing the shofar. And it says after Shachrit. There's also some communities where it's also done after Mariv as well. And then, of course, the Slichot that we say in the Ashkenazi community begin the Sunday before Rosh Hashanah, unless Rosh Hashanah starts on Monday or Tuesday, in which case it starts the Sunday the Sunday prior. So that's what we touched on last time. Interestingly, the Mishnah Berurah connects here, explaining not only the practice of blowing the shofar, which the Ramah brings out here, that's something that we begin doing in Shul at the beginning of Rosh Chodesh Elul when we are in the Ashkenazi community. But also the practice of saying LaDavid Hashem Ari, which is the 27th Psalm, and we say it beginning also at Rosh Chodesh Elul. So says Mishnah Berurah, "V'nohagim b'medinatenu mirosh Chodesh Elul ad Yom HaKippurim lomar b'chol yom achar gmar hatzfilah mizmor LaDavid Hashem Ari b'chol," which is the 27th Psalm. So he says the practice in our areas is that from Rosh Chodesh Elul on until Yom Kippur, they say the 27th Psalm. But then, of course, for us, we know we continue beyond Yom Kippur in saying that, at least in our community. And so he goes on to say, this is said, Boker v'erev v'omrim acharav Kaddish, that we say this in the morning and at night, the 27th Psalm after Kaddish. There is like a discrepancy in some practices of if it's said after Mincha or if it's said after Mariv. But I think most communities tend to do it after both Shachrit and Mariv. And so we also have this practice of saying the 27th Psalm until Shmini Atzeret, including Shmini Atzeret, meaning not said when Simchat Torah begins, but going into, including the morning of Shmini Atzeret, which is when most of us will end up finishing saying it. There are other practices where it's said until Hoshana Rabbah, which I believe is a Chabad practice. There's practices of saying it, I think some even do say it all the way through Simchat Torah. But the idea is, whether it's the 27th Psalm is said until Yom Kippur, or if it's said until Hoshana Rabbah or Shmini Atzeret, those are marking points of when is the book open? When are we being judged for the new year? When is sort of our fate sealed, so to say, for the upcoming year? And so that might be that it concludes at Yom Kippur. It might be that the book is open until Hoshana Rabbah, or even all the way into Shmini Atzeret when we have the Tefillah HaGeshem, when we're thinking about the rains for the year. And so this is the piece that Mishnah Berurah brings in here. What I wanted to pull out from it is that this Psalm, Tehillim 27, which most of us know really well from saying it all of these times every year, as Mishnah Berurah outlined, we know from the Midrash that the very beginning it says Ori v'Yishi. Ori is referring to Rosh Hashanah. Yishi is like my salvation, is referring to Yom Kippur. And then later on in the Tehillim, we see this reference to Sukkot, to Hashem's sukkah, and that God will protect us in his sukkah. And so traditionally the understanding is we say the 27th Psalm at this time of year because it's referencing this flow of the Chagim and really like the spiritual experience of going from the light and life that we get at Rosh Hashanah, the salvation, redemption we get at Yom Kippur, the protection and intimacy with Hashem that we get at Sukkot and Shmini Atzeret. And so by saying this psalm multiple times a day, we're really emphasizing and ritualizing, internalizing the spiritual process. So we're not just living in each moment, meaning like, I'm not focusing exclusively on Rosh Hashanah. I'm not focusing exclusively on Yom Kippur because it's the Aseret Yemei Teshuvah and it's coming up. whether it's, Sukkot, and I've already lived those holidays, but, I'm in it now. I'm still thinking about this as a season. There's like a completeness to this time of year where, the work we're doing from Rosh Chodesh Elul really does extend all the way through Shmini Atzeret, and then concluding with Simchat Torah. And so what I want to offer for this is for us to reflect on that wholeness, and that we're reminding ourselves both, yes, we're present in the moment that we're living, but also that we're part of a larger narrative of the Chagim. What is the story that's being told for you this year during the Chagim? Where is your Rosh Chodesh Elul, your start, your beginning of your work being done, spiritual reflection? Where are you feeling the light and the life and the new year coming, and the redemption and the forgiveness? What's the connection between your new year and your redemption and forgiveness, with your feeling of being protected by Hashem and being sort of in the Sukkat Shlomecha, this sukkah of peace? I think there's so much beauty in the Jewish calendar, and certainly to put all of these moments in dialogue with each other, where time isn't linear, but that's what really Psalm 27 does, is it allows us to have a benchmark multiple times a day where we can say, where am I in this larger narrative? Where am I in this journey? And how am I holding each piece together in myself, being grounded in each of them? And I think part of that is because each of these holidays brings out different things in us. And sometimes we need to have the balance or the counterbalance of other moments in this season. So where for you are you in that narrative? And also, without it being linear, how are you finding those moments in dialogue?